Hello, hello, hello. We are just doing a very quick test to see if everything is working. If you guys can hear me, please let me know. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. If you guys can hear me, please. Perfect. All right, guys. Hello. This is Michael from the IELTS Grind. Welcome back for everyone who is here. You guys asked for it, and so this is what we are getting. Technology vocabulary. Last time, on, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I asked you guys if you guys wanted to have more, what do you call it? Oh, I can see that there's a little bit of, there is a little bit of awkwardness here with the screen. Give me a second just to fix it really fast. Okay. Yeah, so you guys asked for more speaking stuff, and so that is what we are doing here today. We are just making sure that it is not too strange for you guys. If you guys are here, please say hi in the chat. We are doing this speaking class because you guys asked for it. And today's topic was also requested, technology. So this is what we will be doing today. Welcome, guys. Just a few quick things to remember. You guys can send us your own speaking, and me and Phil will be more than happy to have a corrections for you. We will let you know approximately what score you would be getting. We would also let you know what you can improve specifically in each of the 4 grading criteria, fluency, vocab, grammar, and pronunciation. And also, we would probably give you some suggestions on higher level ways to say things, specifically helping you with your grammar and vocabulary. So feel free to send us your speakings. You can send that to us at corrections@theieltsgrind.com. The link is right here. It is also down in the description. You can also send us your writings, which if you've been watching our other videos, is you guys can send that to us and we will mark it and give you feedback completely for free. All you need to do is send it to us at this email. Alright, one more reminder is that this is a speaking class. This is not like our writing correction service or writing correction videos where it can be a little bit more passive. If you guys want to see more of this, you guys need to be active. You guys need to say hi in chat, and when we bring things up, you guys need to give answers. That's the only way we will be able to continue this, and it's the only way to make class fun and interesting. So, if no one is talking in chat, class will end sooner. Now, of course, I know the live stream just started, so not many people have seen it yet, but as you guys join, please be sure to say hi. One last thing is remember that you are live. This would be best for you, just to show you what I mean. If we go to YouTube real fast, and I promise this will just take 1 second, and you guys go to the IELTS Grind, and you guys are watching our live video. If you guys are watching this video, please make sure that you are live. If you guys are watching in playback, which means you're watching back here, or back here, or back here, you will not get the most out of this class. So all you have to do is press this button live, and then say hi in chat when you arrive. Alright, so without further ado, let's get started on today's class. Today we will be looking at vocabulary that may help you on your exam. Second, we will be working together to make some sentences so that you know how to use it. A big problem that a lot of people have is that They learn words, but they don't know how to really use those words. This is why I always recommend students to read. Honestly, reading is the best way to improve your vocabulary. If you were in my class, I would be making you read 20 minutes every day for homework. Just remember, if you're reading to build your fluency and your vocabulary, you should not be reading at your level. You should be reading below your level. So that means if you are a B2, you should be reading books that are graded for B1+. If you are a 6 on the IELTS exam, you should be reading things that are 5.5 or 5. All right. After that, we will think of environmental questions for the speaking test. Again, this is very important for you guys to be engaging. I cannot write any questions myself. I need you guys to give me questions, and then we can work on them together. Same with part 2, and then finally part 3. All right, guys, let's get started. So, some common mistakes. These are things that I hear really often. These are not only about technology, but they are also mistakes that people make when they're answering questions about technology. First of all, many students like to start their answers in part 3 and also part 1 with "in my opinion," and they do it too much. They do this because they've learned that "in my opinion" acts as a fluency marker or a discourse marker, which you need to use to get a high fluency score. This is true. You do need to use discourse markers in your speech to get above a 6. However, if you use the same ones over and over and over again, it will not help your score. It will also not help your score if you say "in my opinion" when you are going to say a fact. You should only say "in my opinion" if you're saying what you think. So this is something that I highly recommend you do. Learn when to say "in my opinion," and then only use "in my opinion" when it's in that situation. So, for example, if I was going to say, is pizza or are hamburgers the better food? You can say, "In my opinion, pizza is the better food." But if I say, what are the ingredients in pizza? Oh, hello, Nasreen. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for saying hi. Super student Nasreen. Yeah. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, if I say, what are the ingredients in pizza? If you say, "in my opinion, pizza has cheese, bread, and pepperoni," that would not work. "In my opinion" does not work in this situation. You should just say, there is pizza, there is cheese, bread, and meat in pizza. No, "in my opinion." Another thing that have people... and Nasreen just asked another question. Thank you, Nasreen. Even though I am American, right now I am living in Taiwan. Both me and Phil live in Taiwan, and we are giving our live streams from here. But if you do have any questions about America, you can feel free to ask. I am American, so I can help you in that regard. Yes. Okay. So another common mistake is answering the wrong question. This is super common. Usually it's because the candidate or the student doesn't understand the question, or it's because they didn't hear the small little word that tells them what tense they should be using. So, for example, many times, even if you can't hear the past tense in the first half of a question, if you hear "when I was a child," you should know I need to use past tense. Every single time you hear a question that says, "when you were a child," what was your favorite piece of technology when you were a child? You should always use past tense for your whole answer. Hello, Bill. Welcome. Thank you for saying hi. I hope that you are live, and I hope that this is useful. No problem at all, Bill. I'm just happy you're here. Thanks for coming. Okay. Going back to common mistakes, another one is, what was the best piece of technology you've ever used? What grammar do you think you should be using when you answer this question? Anybody know? And remember, we need people to talk in chat, so please give your answer. while you guys are writing your answer, another one, what technology do you use to exercise? You should be using present simple for the last one. Okay. And going back here, what was the best piece of technology you've ever used? Down here you can see you have, ever. This means that your first answer should be present perfect. And then if you go into details, you should use past. So the best piece of technology I've ever used is my phone. I got it when I was a few years ago, and it is the best thing that I have. All right. So enough of these common mistakes. Let's keep moving. So, if you only remember one thing, if you forget everything else from today's class, and you only remember one thing. Oh, hello, Lone Wolf. Welcome. Thanks for coming. I can't actually see who is watching. I can only see who is talking in chat. So, thank you for saying hi. Lone Wolf, you are also awesome. Okay. Back to this, if you only remember one thing from this class, it is to use these 4 steps, or if you don't know any native speakers, 3 steps. A lot of the time, students make grammar mistakes or they make vocabulary mistakes that they know. If I was to hear you talking, write down your mistake, put it on the board and say, fix this sentence, most of you guys can fix that sentence. The problem is, when you're talking naturally, you're generally not thinking about whether or not you're right or not. Doing steps 1, 2, and 3 will help you start to hear your own mistakes. Once you can hear your mistakes, you can start to fix your mistakes. So, what I highly recommend you do, and this is something you can do on your own, is record yourself answering a speaking question. Focus on fluency. Don't try to make everything perfect, just talk normally. After that, listen to the recording and write down any mistakes. If you don't have a lot of time, or you know you have one specific mistake that you really want to work on, I recommend that you choose one mistake and just write down mistakes of that type. For example, maybe you suck at past tense, so you only write down your past tense mistakes. Or you only write down your plural mistakes, or you only write down your relative clause or subordinate clause mistakes. All right. Finally, step 3, you record yourself answering the same question with the same answer. You don't need to think of new answers. You're just trying to say the same answer again, but you focus on accuracy. After you do this again and again, and this shouldn't take more than 5-10 minutes if you're just doing one question, you will start to hear your mistakes when you're talking naturally. So your step number 1 will improve if you do steps 1, 2, and 3 over and over again. Finally, if you have a teacher, you're very lucky. If you have someone who is a native speaker, what I recommend you do is step 4, where you listen to step 3. You write down everything you said, and then you give it to your teacher. So if you do this, they can point out mistakes you missed, mistakes that you don't know you're making, and they can also tell you higher level ways to say that. This is another thing that you guys can send to me and Phil, and we will be more than happy to help you out. If you're too shy to send us a voice recording, doing step number 4 is another great way to do it. Okay. So, good luck there. Let's keep going. Collocations with technology. So we have 2 words here, technological and technology. I want you guys to take about 1 minute to think of any words that collocate with these words. Remember, collocations are words that often go together. Heavy rain, I don't know, fast car. These are all collocations. Let's put one in here. Technological advancement. Everyone loves this one. Everyone tries to use it in their task 2 essay. And they often use it when it's not supposed to be used. But I want you guys to do your best and try to think of other words that go together here. Remember, you guys need to interact in chat for these to keep going. So please, I'm going to give you guys about 1 minute. Write down any collocations that you can think of. words that go together with technological or technology. I'll give you about 1 or 2 minutes. Go ahead, write some things down. Naz, that's a great one. Sophisticated technology, fantastic. Keep them coming. I know it's a bit tough, but I believe in you guys. And don't be shy. Even if you're wrong, that's how this works. I can tell you. Don't use that combination of words. Technological achievement is another one. I'm going to steal one of the easy ones. And a fun one. Alien technology. I'll give you guys another 30 seconds to write down as many as you can. Again, remember, this has to be interactive. If it's not interactive, this live stream will end quite quickly. So far, Naz, technological devices. That's a good one. Okay. By the way, if there's ever any words that we put up here that you don't know, feel free to ask and I will give you a quick definition. Right now, Naz is my favorite student, just like usual. If you guys think of any more collocations, feel free to put them up there. And even simple ones like new technology would also work. All right. Let's work together a little bit and see if we can take some of these and make some high-level sentences so that you guys know exactly how to use them. Okay. So a really common one that I see is with recent technological advancements, humanity has been able to, and then you can say anything here. Ah, I like these Nas. That's great. Let me add those as well. So technological gizmos. And then we're actually going to add a new category here because Naz, you've actually hit on or touched on something that causes a lot of students problems. Examples of technology. So we can say smart gadgets, digital devices, perfect. Okay. The reason why I said you touched on something important is a lot of students will think about these words here. They'll learn these words, but in English we do this really weird thing where we will have a word like knowledge or technological devices, but it's like it's a group noun. More often than not, instead of using that word, we would use a specific example in our speech or in our writing. So we're actually going to get to that very soon. here's another way that people start it. Due to the advancement of technology, people are now able to live more convenient lives than ever before. Okay, and if you guys want to put your own sentences in chat, I can check them for you, I can fix them for you, and we can throw them up here for everyone to see. I know that may not be something you look forward to, like, oh no, everyone will see my mistakes, but this is how you learn. Please be brave, be like Naz. Ooh, the advent of technology. That's a really nice one. So I'll put that down here. Okay. Because noun plus of plus technology is a little bit different than adverb or adjective. Okay. All right, guys. So, yeah, Naz, you are on fire. So Advent is like the beginning. Let me think if I can think of a good sentence here. Just give me 1 second. Quickly, give me a sentence that uses Advent and technology. The advent of the internet. Okay. So, Naz, I had to go and check with someone. But I do have some great sentences here for you. Of a technology. Okay, so this means like the creation of a technology. So let me give you some example sentences. With the advent of the internet, we are now able to share knowledge like never before. Or with the advent of the smartphone, we now have what's something great that we have because of the creation of smartphones? We now have a huge societal problem as people no longer look up anymore. Do you guys think this is true? I know this happens to me a lot. If I have my phone, I'm not looking around or talking to people. Okay, so that was actually 100% fantastic, Naz. Advent of technology means the creation of a technology. So with the advent of the internet, that means with the creation of the internet, or thanks to the internet being invented, or at the beginning or the birth of the internet. Yes. Excellent points here, Naz. Okay. Basically, it's like you're getting a free private one-on-one class, Naz. You're so lucky. Okay. So, also, I wanted to point out that this is exactly what I was talking about before, and it even tripped me up a little bit. You guys probably learned advent of technology, but we don't actually usually say advent of technology. We say the advent of a technology, the internet, the smartphone. So when you guys are learning words, try to remember that sometimes it's a group word which we don't often use unless we're describing the whole group of something. Okay. So let's keep going. Collocations with technology, we've already done a great job here. Technology that you use today. These are some examples, and the reason why I put these up here was to point something out that a lot of students miss. So, of course, you can talk about your smartphone, you can talk about your smartwatch, you can talk about your computer or your gaming computer. These are all technology, but these are all hardware. And when students are thinking of technology, they often only think of hardware. You can make your speaking, your answer, a lot better than other people if you remember software like email or an app like Flipboard or Instagram or a website like Google Drive or a word processor like Microsoft Word or Google Docs. Software is also technology. So if you have to talk about, for example, if you're talking about technology that you use every day or technology that you use at work or at home, you can talk about an app. You can talk about something that you use that isn't just a computer, a smartphone, or a smartwatch. Of course, if you know how to talk about these things, go ahead. You don't have to talk about software, but it is an option. What are some other technologies that you guys use regularly, every day? Please say in chat. I know Naz will be awesome and give me one, but let's see if Lone Wolf or Bill or Nasreen can give me some too. Or anyone else who has joined. Don't be shy. Let me know in chat, what technology do you use? YouTube is also a technology. I'll just give you guys 1 minute to write down some answers. I'm thinking about adding some music during these periods. Would you guys prefer classical music or like electronic dance music? And remember guys, this needs to be interactive to keep going. We're not even at the best part yet. If you guys stick around, if you guys speak now, we will be able to start looking at topics and answers for part 1, part 2, and part 3 of the exam, all about technology. But you guys have got to say something. So what technology do you use? I'll write it down here as well, just in case you prefer to read. I'll give you guys 1 more minute to type out some answers. And again, you just need to say in chat, what is some technology or piece of technology that you use regularly? Ah, fitness tracker. Robin, that's great. What type of fitness tracker are you using? Because again, fitness tracker is quite broad. Ah, a Fitbit. It is perfectly okay to say the brand names, by the way, on your IELTS exam. You don't need to worry about copyright infringement by mentioning it. Okay, Fitbit, that's great. Any more pieces of technology that you guys use? Alright guys, this may be because of the time slot that we are using. 6 o'clock on a Saturday is probably when a lot of people are relaxing. So it looks like Julia, thank you for asking. What is a Fitbit? Let me show you a picture really fast. You probably have seen these. It's like a smartwatch, but you use it specifically for exercise. So if you ever hear people counting their steps, that is probably because they have a Fitbit. It's a brand name for a tracker. So it measures your heartbeat and your steps. So actually, let's take a look at this and make a good sentence here. I use my Fitbit every day. I use it to count my steps and track my heartbeat. I try to walk 10,000 steps every day. That's normal, right? A lot of people try to do 10,000 steps. Is that something you guys do? And your sleep. My steps, sleep, and count my sleep, sorry. Steps and track my heartbeat and sleep. Man. Okay. All right, excellent. Julia, that's a fantastic sentence. I use a smartphone, a laptop, and an insulin pump. Okay. And like Apple Watch. Yes. So an app, I would actually put a smartwatch here. Okay. So an Apple Watch. Let's see if we can come up with a nice sentence here. And by the way, let's move that out from under fitness tracker. So these are the things that you use regularly. Now, for example, if this was speaking part 1, Julia's answer would be perfectly fine if they were asking in general what things that you guys were using. I use a smartphone, a laptop, and an insulin pump. This directly answers the question, but one thing that you guys should try to do is add some extra details. You don't need to add a detail about everything, but as you guys can see here, with the answer I wrote for the Fitbit, I use my Fitbit every day, and then I also added an extra detail about that device to show that I really know what it is. For example, if you just say, what technology do you use every day? I like Apple Watches. Actually, that is a perfect example of something I wanted to talk about. I know, by the way, Jalen, that you weren't saying like as in the verb, you were saying it as in similar. But I do see a big mistake here a lot of the time. What technology do you use every day? And then as an answer, some students will say, I like my Apple Watch. This is a bad answer. And again, Jalen, I know that this was not what you were saying, but I see this mistake so often that I wanted to point it out, just in case some of our viewers have answers like this. Why is this not a great answer? It's because it's not answering the question. I use my Apple Watch every day. This is better because you're directly answering the question. This is what I was talking about before as a common mistake, where people are not directly answering the question, they're answering the wrong question. So Jalen, like I said, I know this wasn't what you were saying, but thank you for saying it so we could fix it. if we look at Julia's answer, she does not make that same mistake. She says, I use a smartphone, a laptop, and an insulin pump. But how could we add some more details? All right, fantastic. Thank you, Julia, so much for putting this up here. I use it for communication, taking photos, watching YouTube, and listening to podcasts and songs. Two things that you need to be careful about. You mentioned 3 things here, and obviously it's not the insulin pump. But you do need to be careful when you use referencing. Referencing is great as long as it's very clear what you're referring to. So I would recommend that you change this to I use my smartphone or my laptop. My phone. And we'll just cross this out real fast. Okay. And after we fix this, there's actually one more mistake. And again, thank you so much for putting this out, Julia. This is the kind of stuff that I want to see in the stream so that we can make things fantastic, bring it up to level 7 and level 8 answers. There's one thing in here that I would change. Anyone want to take a guess at it? I know that there's a little bit of a delay, but it's actually something that we talked about earlier where you're using a general term when we would actually use a specific term for what we were trying to say in English. It is right here. I use it for communication. Now, this answer is not wrong. The grammar is fine. It's just not something that we would usually say. So I would change this to say, I use my smartphone to talk to people or email them, to take photos, yeah. I also use it, here it's okay, to take photos, watch shows or YouTube, and listen to stuff I like. Alright, so the main thing here that I want to point out is instead of saying for communication, that's very general, and even though it's right, the grammar's not wrong. It's not what a native speaker would be saying. We would be a lot more specific here. I use my smartphone to talk to people or email them. Okay. Thank you so much for that. This was great. This is exactly how I want to be helping you guys. But let's keep going. We've been talking about vocab here and technology that you use. One last thing that I want to do before we move on to the stuff that I know you guys are all waiting for is I want you guys to tell me some different things. So what tech do you use at work? What tech do you use at school? What tech did you use when you were a student? And what tech at work, at school, do you use at home? And finally, what tech don't you enjoy using? Or what piece of technology would be best here? All right, I want you guys to do your best to, in chat again, you don't need to answer every question, but I do want you guys to try to answer at least one of them in chat. So choose whichever one you want and then see if you guys can give me some answers while I type up what Naz has put in chat. So again, do your best to tell me some examples and then also some details, and I'll let you know how you did. Julia, by the way, has been another super student, another one of my favorite students, because she asked a question about something she didn't know, and she gave an example. Thank you, Julia. So please do your best. Here. Oh, that's ugly. Let's, here we go. That's easier on the eyes. Guys, you guys are doing fantastic in chat. I love this, and I'm glad that I'll be able to help you guys out. Okay. So you guys feel free to add your own stuff in chat. Right now, Naz and Julia, you guys are doing fantastic. If you are not a fast typer, that is okay. You guys can put something in chat after we talked about it, and we can always go back and talk about it more. But let's take a look at these three that were given. Remember, feel free to give your own answers about these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. Okay. So let's take a look at some of these answers. Well, it is refutable that technology has made our lives easier, faster, and more efficient. This is something that I do want to highlight because this would be great in a task 2 essay. This would be great if you were answering a specific question in in speaking part 3. So for example, in speaking part 3, they may ask you something like, has technology made our lives easier? This is a great answer for that. However, this is a weird thing to say if you were answering one of these questions. So for example, what tech do you use at work? This is not directly answering the question. Again, great sentence. The grammar is fantastic. The vocabulary is fantastic, especially for irrefutable. Okay. And then the way that this part was made was also beautifully grammatically. But it would be weird to say this as an answer to any of these questions, because these questions are specifically about you and your situation. So this is okay, with one exception. Instead of saying technical equipment, I would actually recommend that you say exactly what the technical equipment is. So down here, this is perfect. A small grammar thing, I use a smartphone. And of course the capital U is my fault. So I use a smartphone, laptop, and refrigerator and washing machine. This is good because it's directly answering the question. To what tech do you use? at school, or what tech do you use at home? I'm not sure which one you're talking about. However, I do want to point out something that could be improved here, which is I recommend, just to add some more detail, that you guys talk about where you use it. So for example, when I'm home, I often lay on my couch with my laptop in my lap, surfing the web. This is very high level. This is an example of an 8 or 9 answer. You guys can also just say, when I'm home, I often use my laptop or phone in my room. And of course, if I need to wash my clothes, I use my washing machine and dryer. All right. So I see you guys are giving more and more answers in chat, which is fantastic. Just going over them again, one by one, very quickly here. This is an example of very high level. You guys don't need to try to copy this. I just wanted to point it out for your reference. Okay. But here I'm saying where I use it, and if I need to wash my clothes, why I use it, or what's the situation that I use it in. These are great details to be adding to take a simple... So I see why these sentences were added. They were trying to show off their vocabulary muscles. They were trying to make sure that they had this great vocabulary that they know, but it's not directly connected to the question. So instead, I use a smartphone, laptop, oven, refrigerator, washing machine. Giving details specific about where you use them or why you use them would be much better. All right, and I see you guys have continued to give me more and more sentences. You guys are all fantastic. Let's take a look at this next one, though. Okay. At work, I make use of. This is a nice sentence to use, and used correctly too, of a desktop computer. However, I use specific software for my research. This is, I'm not going to make it red for bad. However, this is still running into the same problem where it's a little bit too broad. If you know the software that you use and you don't think that the examiner will know what it is, there is something you can do. So I believe that this was Julia. Yeah, Julia, what's the name of the software that you use for your research? Can you tell me? And in the meantime, at work I make use of a desktop computer. I use, just as an example, Scribbler, which is a piece of software used by a lot of professionals in my field for research, as well as an email client, great, and a text editor. Text editor is okay. It's not terrible, it's correct, but I would actually recommend that you say word processor. You could be using a text editor, but just to show you what a text editor is, where is it? Notepad. This is a text editor. It's very basic. Hello world. And maybe you can do some stuff with fonts, but it's very, very basic. A word processor is like Microsoft Word or Google Docs. So text editor is okay, but word processor is the better word to use because it's more correct. also, thank you so much, Julia. Sketch engine. Ah, another person in the linguistics field. Fantastic. Okay. Thank you for your support and joining the stream. Okay. So, nice. By the way, one thing I do want to point out here before we move on to some more of your fantastic examples that you guys have given me. Right here, which is a piece of software, the reason why I added this sentence here is, or this clause really, the reason why I added this is because the examiner may not know what sketch engine is, especially if you guys have pronunciation problems. You guys may say, I make use of a desktop computer. Fantastic. I use sketch engine. If the examiner doesn't know that word, they may assume that it is a mistake that you made. Like maybe you're trying to use a word that is too high level for you and you're making a mistake. To make sure that the examiner does not think that, I highly recommend you learn to paraphrase in the next sentence. So again, for example, I use Sketch Engine, which is a piece of software used by a lot of professionals in my field. Using this clause is nice because it shows your grammar muscles, and then it also explains that you know this word. This is a word that they don't know. And this does happen. The IELTS examiner does not know all words. The IELTS examiner does not know everything. And so there will be some times, especially if you're talking about your work, you may have a very specific technical word that is correct in English, but the examiner doesn't know it. And that can sometimes lower your vocab score if the examiner thinks that you're making a mistake. Yes. All right. Let's see, Robin. I don't like using my parents' smart TV because there are too many options and the remote control is so confusing. Even my parents can't use it. That's actually 100% perfect on all levels. I'm going to cheat a little bit and just copy and paste here. I also know that Robin is a native speaker, and so she's cheating. But if you guys really want to see a nice high-level answer, right here is perfect. Okay, the details are nice. And they're not too much. That's another thing that you guys should be careful of here, is having too many details. Of course, the examiner is keeping the time. If you're spending too long answering one question, the examiner will stop you. So don't be upset if the examiner interrupts you and says something like, thank you. If they say thank you, that means stop talking. Yes. So, all right. And let's look. I'm just going to very quickly skim through some more of these answers that you guys gave. If there's a specific problem that I see, I'll let you guys know. And then at the end of stream, I'll also go through all of them individually. But I do want to move on to the next section, which I think you guys will like, especially since you guys have been so fantastic in chat. So as a reward, let's jump into part 1, questions. So I cannot write down any questions. I can't tell you questions. What I need you guys to do is I need you guys to tell me questions that you think are connected to technology that might be in part 1. By the way, part 2 questions. And finally, part 3 questions. Now, for this part, it's very important that you guys tell me questions. I will put them up here, and then I will work with you guys to make sure that we have fantastic answers. Now, remember, part 1 is always going to be questions about you and your experiences. So, for example, things up here, like what tech do you use at work, at school, at home, when you were a student? These are all types of things that would be part 1 questions. Part 3 questions are going to be about more abstract topics. So a good example that I like to use is for part 1 about education, it would be, tell me about your favorite teacher, do you like the people in your class? A part 3 question in education would be, how can your country's education system be improved? Or what are some of the things that don't work in your country's education system? All right, so I see Robin has started us off with what technology can you use very well. I like that, and that is probably a part 1 question. And then down here for Julia, describe a piece of hazardous equipment that you have used in the past. Oh man, that's tough. Okay, nice. Any more, guys? I'm just going to give you guys about 1 or 2 minutes to just keep putting questions out here that I will add to the document. And then after we have enough, then we'll start looking at answers. So while you guys are typing, do you think people are too dependent on technology? That is a great part 3 question. And one more thing is that the part 3 questions are going to be divided into 3 sections. If the examiner thinks that you are below a 7, they will ask first the 3 questions in frame 1 and then the 3 questions in frame 2. If they think you are between a 6 and a 7, they will ask you the questions in frame 1 and then the questions in frame 3. If they think that you are 7 or above, they will ask you the questions in the 2nd frame and then the 3rd frame. Obviously, they are easier in the 1st frame and more difficult in the 3rd frame. So basically, a lot of people need a 6.5. So one piece of advice I want to tell you guys is that if you guys are taking the exam and you're in part 3 of the speaking exam and you have some pretty easy questions and then you get some really difficult questions, you guys should be happy because that means that the examiner is considering you getting 7s in some things, which is a lot better than easy questions and then slightly easier questions, and then you guys go, oh, crap, they think I'm below a 7. All right, and I see some more great questions. Julia, you are on fire. So let me put Robin's down. I would probably put that here. Do you think people are too dependent on technology? Fantastic, Robin. What piece of equipment would you like to purchase in the future? That is definitely a part 1 question. And then part 3. Do you think... Okay, that's probably actually up here. It's probably a frame 1 question. Do you think technological advancement is a positive or negative trend? Describe a time when you started using a new technological device. Nice. And then finally, describe your favorite piece of equipment. You guys are fantastic today. What kind of tool do you use in your company? Yes. These are fantastic. You guys are doing a great job. This is going to be so much better than last time. Thank you guys for being so active here. Too dependent on technology. Yep. Okay. All right. How has technology used in everyday life in your country changed in recent years? That's probably part 2 or part 3. Nice one, Julia. And how has technology? Okay. And I'm going to cut it off after Naz's. Just because we have so many. This is freaking fantastic. That is probably a 1 for Robbins. And do you agree that there are still many more major technological innovations to be made? That sounds very close to a frame 3 question. Okay, guys, so many. You guys are doing great. But we are going to stop after these last 2. Even though the phrases in Naz's second to last answer is pretty high level, it would still only be second frame. Or even first frame, really. Basically, the higher the frame, so frame 1, 2, and 3, the more abstract it will be. And they will also use higher level vocabulary in frame 3. So that's how a lot of people can recognize whether or not they're doing well, is if you start hearing really high level unfamiliar words. Sometimes the core meaning of the question is basic, but the what do you call it? The words, the way that it's phrased is very high level for frame 3. All right. Could you suggest some reasons why some people are deciding to reduce their use of technology? And Julia's is definitely frame 1. Do you like purchasing new types of technological devices? Are you into technology? I'm actually really glad that Julia asked this question, because this is, even though the vocabulary is very high level, it would never be seen in part 3 questions. Even though it's higher level vocab, do you like purchasing new types of technological devices? Are you into technology? Part 3 questions are always, 100% always going to be about a topic in general. So they may sometimes ask about your opinion, but it's not going to be about your preferences. So just as another example, if the examiner says something like, do you agree that that people learn better in school than from their parents at home? This is an example of the type of question that you'd have to answer. It's not about your preferences, it's about your opinion on a debate. Think of it as kind of like a part 2, a task 2 essay. And actually, Naz's question is fantastic for a frame 2. Geez, there are just so many. You guys are freaking fantastic. And then, do you agree or disagree that computers will replace teachers one day? Okay. How do you choose? Now, Jalen's last question even though it may sound similar to Julia's question that I put up in part 1, it's actually closer to to a part 3 question, because you're talking not about you, but people in general. So how do you means people in general. Choose the best tech to use in your life. All right, so this, some reasons why some people. Okay, so again, this is one thing. If you forget everything today except for this one thing, remember that in part 3 questions, it will never be about you. It will always be about in general. So make sure you're answering it in that way. So, by the way, here you can say, in my opinion. This is just going back to something earlier. Yes, because they want to know your opinion. But again, it's not your preference. Is it a positive trend for society, or is it a negative trend for society, for people in general? Okay, thank you for all of these questions. This is fantastic. What we're going to do next. Oh, this has been a long stream. Okay. What we're going to do next is, I know that I have you guys on the edge of your sheet right now, and I want to give you some good answers, but I don't want to just give you answers where you guys may hear the answer, but you guys mishear the grammar, and maybe you try to copy what I say but get the grammar wrong. So my question to you guys right now is, if I did another live stream Monday at 2 p.m. my time, so that's, if you guys go to our schedule. So again, hi, it's us. So if we go to our full schedule, we can see right now it is 7:11 p.m. 7 p.m. So these are all the times. By the way, tell us in chat if your city or time zone is not here. We will add it. If I did another live stream Monday at 2, would you guys be able to join? And then for that live stream, it would be us just answering these questions, both together with me fixing your answers, but also with me giving you some high-level sample answers and sentence frames that you guys can use. Would you guys be free at 2? And don't forget, if you're not free, you can always watch the playback of the live stream. But you guys have been so awesome that I want to do one more speaking live stream. I was really worried at the beginning of the live stream because of how quiet it was, but you guys have just been giving great answers after great answers, and so I want to reward that. Would you guys be interested in a part 2 for this live stream, Monday at 2? Please let me know in the comments down below if that is something interesting to you. Okay, Julia has a thumbs up. Thank you, Julia, and thank you for being so active. Jalen, Naz, Bill, Lone Wolf, how about you guys? Please let me know in chat, and also as a comment to this video, if you want part 2. Part 2 will be me giving the answers after you guys give your own answers and me helping fix them. Okay, thank you guys. You guys have been fantastic. This has been the most active chat the IELTS Grind has ever had. I'm going to go tell Phil and rub it in his face and go, haha, my students were better. So thank you so much for being so active, guys. You guys were fantastic, and I hope that me and Phil can continue to help you on your IELTS journey. Remember, IELTS isn't easy, but you can do it with hard work. I believe in all of you. Remember, you guys can send us your speakings here at corrections@theieltsgrind.com. They can be MP3 files, they can be MP4 files, or you can write down your speaking answers, and me and Phil will be more than happy to correct them. Also remember that down here, we have a fantastic structure for how you can be working on your own speaking. Doing steps 1, 2, and 3 are extremely important so you can start to hear your mistakes. Again, a lot of students know the grammar. They know why it's wrong. They can fix it by themselves, but when they just chat, when they just talk, they still make mistakes. So, if you remember one thing, do steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course, you can send step number 4 to me and Phil. All right, you guys have been fantastic. Thank you for joining, guys, and good luck on your studying. Remember to work on your vocabulary. Keep reading. You can do it. Bye, guys. Peace.